Picard.
That's not my name.
Jean-Luc.
That's not my name either.
I've had a revelation.
Oh no.
So?
Forget it.
You have to ask.
No, I don't.
Alright, since you asked. That man is the fount of leadership wisdom.
A title of titles. I think you're out of your element.
You have the whole enchilada in this one, bald, beautiful man.
Okay, I give up. Talk all you want about Picard, but let's not do the bald and beautiful again.
Think about it, every scenario he encounters on the Enterprise is an ethical dilemma.
You're such a dweeb sometimes.
You're just afraid I might be right.
No, I'm just afraid.
If you don't want to hear about it, okay.
Fine.
So anyway. That's the whole point of the show, dealing with ethical dilemmas. That even centuries in the future, people still deal with basic principles of having to choose between difficult decisions.
According to the TV show, which also sets unreal expectations for the human race.
What?
The show would never work in practice, and therefore the characters are irrelevant and fictional.
You don't think there could be a point in the future where humans are on spaceships, a galactic federation of planets?
That might be the case, but it contends that they have no use for money, and decided to do everything for some grandiose higher purpose.
Well, I don't know about that. I just know that in every scenario Jean-Luc has to choose the right thing to do. He has to choose, sometimes very quickly, the thing to do. Immediately, it could be life and death, and he has to choose so quickly. And in every episode, he chooses the right path. Like every time.
Every time?
Well, sometimes he has to break Prime Directive, which I mean, depending on your point of view, may not be correct.
You're quite intent on this, aren't you?
Yep. And I think episodes of Star Trek should be used in a course in schools.
What?
Imagine how fun it would be to have a class based on Star Trek. An ethics or leadership class based on Picard would be awesome. It's accessible. You watch an episode, you talk about the dilemmas faced in it, you learn from it. Example. It's better than the Bible.
How?
For one, it isn't religious. So you avoid that issue entirely. Secondly, the Bible is boring. It's stated. And honestly, Jesus was a mediocre leader, and I think he injected a little too much politics into it.
You're telling me that Star Trek The Next Generation is a better teacher of morality and ethics than Jesus Christ?
Yes.
You might want to keep that to yourself for now.
Yeah, I know. But like I said, Jesus is dated. And he was too much of a populist. It was too much about him and his own clout. He talked about how wealthy people are, at their core, evil. Now that's not fair, is it? Wasn't that just to win over the mob who already loathed the wealthy?
For the time, I think it was fair. A lot of people who were wealthy at the time did so at the plight of others.
Sure. But what about these days? People these days, especially in developed countries, they work hard. They work smart to get their wealth. A lot of time it's just with investments. They invest in startups, they care about people, they care about their family, they give money to charity, and they're essentially good people. So when Jesus talks about them being evil, that's a disconnection with today's reality. It's not fair. It's divisive. That's not good leadership, is it? He made a lot of assertions that don't really square up these days.
So what about Picard?
Picard, on the other hand, had no interest in gaining the love of the mob. His duty was to lead, and he does so in such a way as to set a model of leadership. He's practically infallible, so much so that he's practically an abstraction of great leadership.
What is great leadership in your opinion?
Well, the 4 cardinal virtues, for starters. Temperance, wisdom, prudence, patience, he's got them all. At the same time, he's assertive yet approachable. He's commanding, he can be curt, but he is fair.
You are a strange person.
I know.
Are you a major Trekkie or something? I mean, that's what it seems like.
No, actually. I mean, the show is okay. The production values are pretty silly by today's standards. The characters are actually pretty flat, if you think about it. Not to knock the acting is fine, but all the characters have set attributes. They sit perfectly in their character types. But I still think Picard is a character worthy of emulating. Really though, if you don't want to be a leader, there are a number of other characters you can emulate. They also fit into their respective personality types, that they can all be considered, more or less, abstractions.
So if I wanted to be like Deanna Troi or Beverly Crusher,
Yeah, they were both great women to emulate. You know exactly where they stand on everything, their characters are so well defined, there's no room for ambiguity.
so you're saying that the characters from Star Trek lack ambiguity, and that because of that they are essentially abstractions.
Yes, most definitely. Without ambiguity, a character is an abstraction. Even with flaws, because you know precisely what flaws they are with those two women. But if you watch the show, you know exactly what those flaws are. However, they have upstanding character worthy of emulation.
Isn't this like worshipping characters from Star Trek?
I see little difference between learning from characters in a book and learning from characters in a TV show. Sure, in the book you might get more insight into their psychological goings-on, but with a fine actor like Patrick Stewart, you get enough.